Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to the community conversation. This is a Hujjat initiative. In these regular conversations with individuals, we will explore their struggle, achievement, courage, and disappointment that shaped and guided their faith, family, and community. Today, we have with us a past president of Hujjat Jamaat, Stanmore, who also served as Vice President of the World Federation of Khoja Shia Ishnashri Muslim Community, as well as in many other important voluntary roles in the community. Presently, he is the Vice President of the Council of European Jamaat. He is Al-Hajj Dr. Munir Datoo. Welcome, Munir.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Dr. Munir Muhsin Datoo. Dr. Munir Muhsin Datoo.
That's right.
Hussein is his brother.
My chacha, yeah.
Chacha tha tomorrow. Okay, Dr. Munir Muhsin Datoo was born in Dar-es-Salaam, Tanzania on the 7th of June 1960. He is the fourth in a family of five. His parents are Muhsin Abdulrasul Datoo and Khatija Muhsin, an internationally renowned Zakira for the ladies at the time. Most of his primary education was at Mtendeni School in Dar-es-Salaam, and the rest completed, including secondary education in Karachi, and subsequently obtained first bachelor's degree in medicine in Karachi. He has a diploma in ear, nose, throat specialty from the Royal College of Surgeons in the United Kingdom, and has special interest in acupuncture. Since January 1998, he works as a full-time General Practitioner, where he is a partner there. His communal involvement started as a volunteer at Mehfile Zainab in Karachi in 1973 and progressed to becoming Vice President of Imamia student organization. Since 1998, he has been a volunteer at Hujjat Stanmore, taking various positions within Hujjat Jamaat. As well, you were a doctor at Hujjat European Hajj Mission as well?
European Hajj Mission.
For 17 years?
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So he has been a doctor with European Hajj Mission for 17 years until 2017. He has been involved with the World Federation since 1998, where he was a part of a medical advisory board before taking the role of Assistant Secretary General of the World Federation, looking after its health portfolio from 2007 to 2015. Rather a long time for that. Yeah,
yeah, so the ASD role was 3 years, but the health continued.
Continued, yeah. And I think you were also commissioned to do some strategic work on health. Yeah. In the leadership role, he took on the role of the Vice President, Executive Council member at both the Council of European Jamaat and the World Federation. He became the President at Hujjat Stanmore as well as a Vice President of the World Federation. He is currently the Vice President of the Council of European Jamaat for the term 2024 to 2027. Dr. Munir is married and has 3 children, and his grandchildren to 3 children.
3, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome, Munir.
Thank you.
Once again. Now, mashallah, this is an impressive CV, I have to say that. And I'm sure a delight for our audience. We have a dynamic leader who is also very passionate about running. And I think this was a light bulb moment at one time. So perhaps you can share that light bulb moment with the audience.
So the advantage of being a community leader is that you get invited to dinners. So one of the Stanmore Jaffrey Running Club dinner, I was invited, and at that meeting, Nadeem Kapadia, one of the Stanmore Jaffrey running elite, said we are going to start Couch to 5K program. Now I was very unfit, and I was looking at way to increase my stamina. But I thought this is not for me, so I was joking that I will do couch to couch, because then I thought I can only do couch to couch.
What is couch to couch?
So move from one couch to the other couch.
All right, okay. Sitting to sitting.
Sitting to sitting.
Right, okay.
But even then, I put my name down, and when the email came to enroll for the Couch to 5K, which is an NHS program. I signed for it. It was 20 pounds, but I thought, you know what, at the end of the program, there was a breakfast and a top. I said 20 pounds will cover that.
This is typical, isn't it?
Khatija, right?
Don't say that.
Right. Typical. And then, so when the first run was in January of 2024, last year, it was -5 degrees. So, you know, we turned up wearing winter jacket and woolly hat and woolly gloves, but we started. The first day, it was 30-second run and walk. Even the 30-second run, I could not manage without huffing and puffing. This was January 2024. In February 2024, you know, as GP, we have to have appraisal every year.
Okay.
So my appraiser said, oh, this is a good program you are starting. And he said, for your personal development plan, I want you to do a race of 10 kilometers by next year, which is by February 2025, he wanted me to do a 10-kilometer race.
Which is a marathon.
No, 10
it's
kilometers.
It's not marathon.
No.
Okay.
Marathon is 42.2.
I
So
didn't
he
know that.
wanted me to do 10 kilometers.
Right.
I said, there is no way I will manage a 10K race. So we agreed that I'll do a 5K race. He gave me 1 year. So that was in February 2024. So I continued with the SJ training. In July of 2024, I did my first 10K race. And then I did my first half marathon with Stanmore Jaffrey in September of 2024.
Right.
And I thought, you know, I've done half a marathon, and Nadeem Kapadi and Arif Siddiq said, if you've done half a marathon, you can do a marathon as well. So half a marathon is 21.1 kilometer and marathon is 42.2. So I said, 2025, I must do a marathon. It's not easy to get a space in marathon. And I wanted to do the London one because I think I probably have got one marathon in me. But thanks to Salim Qasim, he introduced me to Muslim runners.
All right.
And Samina Khan, who is one of the Muslim runner founder, I'm her father's age. So she is my father's age. So I got a spot for London Marathon, which is on 27th of April via the Muslim runners. So I'll be running, inshallah, on the 27th of April, 42.2 kilometers.
And keep our flag flying.
Inshallah.
Right, right. So we have a doctor here who doesn't only advise, but actually practices his advice. I suppose prevention, I mean,
Yes.
running and all that. So
And
I think you should.
And the community is picking up. The community.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So you see you will see a lot of.
How
community.
good should we keep running in our lifestyle? Can you explain to?
Well, any activity is good. If you look at British Heart Foundation, they say 50 minutes of brisk walking 3 times a week. Yeah, it's longevity of life. But I don't think we should be looking at longevity of life. I think we should be looking at whatever life we have, we should be mobile, active, and not dependent on anybody, irrespective of we live 50 years or 90 years. And all the research have shown that this exercise strengthens your muscles. The first thing to go if we are inactive is the muscle mass. When the muscle mass goes, you struggle to get off the chair because there is no strength. So you'll notice, yeah.
So keep yourself active all the time.
And you don't have to do too much. It's just a little bit, you know. In fact, you just make sure if you're at home, get up every 20 minutes, have a small walk. But just small, simple exercises you can do sitting. It does wonder, and you want to do it before.
And if you have a very long sitting room, then you have 5 couches and you move from one couch to another couch. Okay. Now, thank you very much. This is a good advice to the community. Now, you're still a GP. Are you full-time or
I'm full-time. So I'm full-time. A full-time GP, the partner is 8 sessions a week, and I do full-time.
So it's still, well, full-time, so it's very involved, isn't it? Now, the question is, how do you find time to do all the other things in your life, you know? Like the community life that you have developed, contribution is quite heavy.
Yeah.
So how do you find time?
Well, there are 24 hours in a day, right?
Yes, but then there are some sleeping and working and all that. But then how do you manage it?
I think that, you know, if you have got a will to do it, then you can always find time. But one thing is important, you need to have support from your family, because anytime outside work that you are giving to your community is the time that you are taking away from your family. So it's important that you take your family with your journey.
Right.
And what happens is that hopefully they will also become active in community work. Just like my father, he was at one time president of Mehfile Zainab in Karachi. My mother has been a Zakira reciting, and my elder brother, Shiraz Datoo.
That's right.
He's actively involved. My Abdul Datoo, as well.
He's also involved. Yeah.
And my younger sister, Azra Sharif in Arusha, she's involved in the local Jamaat. My elder sister, Latifa, she recites and she's involved in the in other activities in Tanga Jamaat Madrasa as well. So it all comes from the family. So I'm hoping that my children will also take it further. And my wife Zainab, she is revived with Nasim Bhai, which is Sipten's wife.
Yeah, they've got a project together. Yeah.
So they are doing this,
health.
Cancer support group.
Cancer support, yeah,
So,
that's right. Yeah.
so and that's what you need. Otherwise, if you don't have family support, it doesn't work, because this is the time that the family thing you should be spending with them.
So really, with family support is very, and I agree with you. I think without our wives supporting behind us, it's very, very difficult. So Munir, I want to come to now your childhood.
Yeah.
You were born in Dar-es-Salaam,
That's right.
the same as me, and you went to the same primary school
That's
as
right.
I did,
Yeah.
except that you were junior to me.
Yeah.
What do you remember of Mtendeni? At that time, it was Mtendeni Indian Government School, wasn't it?
I don't know. We just used to call him Mtendeni.
Mtendeni, yeah, that's right. But it was an Indian school. Mainly Indian children used to go there. So do you remember? Do you have any memories of Mtendeni? I mean, I have.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
So I only remember 4 class students from our community. So one is Muhsin Datoo, who actually lives in Stanmore.
Right.
Then another one was Salim Ballu. And then there is Mahmood Walji, who was still in Dar-es-Salaam. And the other one was a lady, Ruhi. She passed away. She used to live in South. So these are the only 4 people I remember from our class.
Right, right.
Then there was an Agha, Fuad. So he used to look after the chicken poultry.
They're in Mtendeni.
Yes, you remember that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I remember is that our senior, so one class ahead of us, was Akhtar Nayani, marhum.
Right.
If you know, he used to race with marhum Taqi Virani.
Right. Oh, the car.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So and if people, unfortunately, he passed away very recently at Nayani. But for those who have been to Dar-es-Salaam, they know Mambos.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he was the owner of Mambos. Yeah. So
So you still remember the life in Dar-es-Salaam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So parents, Muhsin Abdulrasul Datoo. Now, my sort of recollection, was he involved in politics to a certain degree?
No.
Local politics or anything? No. Okay. So how, and the Khatija Bai, who's a reciter, how much the parents influenced you in shaping your own life?
Well, you know, in our days, when we get guided by our parents, right?
And elders as well.
And elders as well, and you know, it wasn't like thing, you know, that let me make my own decision.
Okay.
So the decisions are sort of made for you.
Right.
In
that sense, yes.
Decisions are made for you. So,
and you just make the best use of it.
That's right. So I remember the anecdote, right?
Yeah.
And I get praises to date
for that. Okay.
So after metric, which is GCSE, there usually is 2 months holiday before you start your inter-science, which is A level.
Right.
So my dad said, you know, you go and learn typing and shorthand. It will come handy. And I was very reluctant because it's holidays time, so you want to play with your, and in Karachi, you play all day
your
outside.
peers, that's right, yeah.
So I reluctantly used to go for 1 hour to do typing and shorthand. Shorthand didn't get me anywhere because it was difficult for me.
Typing did.
But typing, so in our consultation now, if you, everything is written, right? And when the patients see me typing with all 5 fingers without looking at the keyboard, they always comment that you type very well.
Right. So you learned it from there, eh?
Yeah. So in Karachi, this is 1976.
Right.
I went to learn in those days, the type of.
Yeah. I know. So now you mentioned Karachi. Why did you have to move from Dar-es-Salaam to Karachi?
So if you remember in 1970, early 71, the then President Nyerere, he nationalized everything overnight.
Right.
Yeah. So Mtendeni school that we used to go as well got nationalized as well.
That's right. Yes.
So in 71, everything goes nationalized, and so the family decided, because we're always in family business, right? That is good for at least one family to migrate. So if things happen or whatever happens, then there is a way.
It's like an insurance policy.
Insurance policy.
Yeah.
And if you know that in those times, so some people migrated to Pakistan, being a Muslim country. Some people came to England. Yeah. And very few went to India. Maybe finger count, but there are quite a few people migrated to Pakistan, Karachi.
And so life in Karachi, I mean, what do you remember life in Karachi? What was it like? Because you did your secondary education as well as the tertiary one, that is a university.
In Karachi. And life in Karachi you can divide into 2 to 3 types. Yeah.
Right.
So one was the early.
So you had a Khoja community there, Khoja Shia. There's a large Khoja Shia community. Yeah.
So it's one of the largest Khoja community in the world. Karachi, but there was East African Khojas as well.
Right.
And they were divided sort of location-wise in Nazmabad and PCHS Society.
Now, explain to our audience these two.
So it's in areas. So like, we have got Harrow, we have got Pinner, we have got Hyderabad South. So these are these areas. So Nazmabad is one part of what Karachi is now big, but one part of Karachi, and that is where our community from East Africa, some of them had settled. Yeah. So
and that subsequently became
Mehfile Zainab.
Mehfile Murtaza.
No, Mehfile Murtaza in PCHS Society.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
Mehfile Zainab. That was Khoja as well, was it? Okay, right.
And then the other community was in PCHS Society, which is where Mehfile Murtaza
eventually emerged
from there.
Okay.
So there are two communities. What you can say whether it's Hyderabad or Stanmore.
Right. But then we had a major Khoja community there as well, which we know as Pirai.
Pirai Jamaat. So in fact, if you look, so these are Mehfile. They are not Jamaat.
Yeah.
So Mehfile Zainab is a Mehfile. Mehfile Murtaza is a Mehfile as well. It's not
but
a
we
Jamaat,
have one Jamaat.
Which is one Jamaat, which is Pirai Jamaat. So all the members of Mehfile Zainab and Mehfile Murtaza are members of Pirai Jamaat.
Right. Now that makes sense now. Yeah. So you were in?
Initially I was in Nazmabad.
And then?
Until 78. Then my parents moved back to Tanzania.
Right.
So then I moved to Mehfile Murtaza. In fact, when the new Mehfile Murtaza, when they moved to the new place which is currently in 1978, I was in Mehfile Murtaza. Then I was volunteer at Mehfile Murtaza.
So who were the luminaries at that time in Mehfile Murtaza?
So if you look at the leader, there's Anwar Bhai Rajpal,
who contributed quite a lot.
Quite a bit. And then you have got the Hajis.
That's right.
Yeah.
They were originally from Dar-es-Salaam, but also from Congo, I think.
Yes.
They had some,
So Shani Haji, and then.
And their contribution was massive as well.
Yes. But we were kids, so they are above. But from our point of view, the one who were our head of volunteers was Hassan Abulo.
Oh yeah.
Hassan Abulo. He was the vice captain.
Yeah.
The captain was Onali Bhai Saleh Mohammed.
Oh,
known as Oni Pilot.
Yeah. We used to call SNY. He's marhum now.
Yeah.
SNY. Yeah.
Because if you remember, he was also our captain or
in
our
Hussaini Society Dar-es-Salaam. Yeah.
So and then there was Abbas by Paris, his brother, his son. He was also the captain. So these are the one. And then we had Mehboob Data Dina, marhum.
Yes.
Yeah. The one who passed away in an aeroplane crash. So these are the ones who are
So
directly above us.
Yeah, so you had quite these good, these luminaries as well as these good captains to train you eventually to become what you became. Okay, Munir, now your studies, you went, why did you want to become a doctor? Or was the decision already made?
Well, now that's a story that I tell my kids as well. So my brother Shiraz,
Right.
he was always already doing medicine.
Where?
In Karachi.
All right.
So my father said, one son is doing medicine, why don't you go into engineering? Yeah. So he was explaining me different fields of engineering and what it is, and at the age of 17, you don't understand what they're saying, right? Say engineering, you can do A, B, and C, because it's a vast field, right? Medicine is just medicine initially. Yeah. So I said, fine. So I went to Adamji Science College. It's one of the best in Karachi. There are two colleges at that time, which are the peak, DJ Science College and Adamji Science College. So all of my friends were going to Adamji Science College. So I went to apply there. I got there a bit late. There was a long queue to get.
This is on the day?
On the day for admission.
Yeah.
There was a long queue for the form. So all my friends were standing on the pre-medical line at the front. So I just joined my friend and I got a pre-medical form and I went into medicine.
Oh, so you just went in?
No, so I applied to get into pre-medical and got admission in pre-medical because the line were too big.
So you decided for this one?
Because the line was short.
Short. Worked out for you?
It wasn't short, the line was long, but my friend were right at the front.
So how did you find the studies then in that case? I mean, I can understand you went in now.
Well, the thing is, at the age of 17, whether you do medicine or engineering, you just
all same.
It's all the same until you graduate, right? Because and I think it was a good decision because I would not have been able to do what I have been doing for the community if I was not a doctor.
Really?
Yeah. As an engineer, how many centers can you build, right? If you're a civil engineer, well, but as a physician, you can help the community a lot on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Okay, I understand the philosophy behind it, but obviously, would you recommend then in that case to anyone who in this 21st century with the algorithm that is now available in many career structures, would you recommend somebody to become a GP?
A doctor?
Yes.
So I was speaking, today is Tuesday, right? So on Sunday, my son Ali Abbas, he was at home and his daughter is only 2. So I said, you become a doctor. So my daughter-in-law Zainab, she is a pharmacist. She said, are you sure you want her to become a doctor? I said, there is no recession in medicine. Things might change, It might not be the same as before, but my personal opinion is there is no recession in medicine. You are always needed, irrespective of all the AI that will come, you will still need doctors. You might have robotic surgery, but you have to, somebody has to input them, and the family physician are always needed.
You know what I mean by that when I say doctor, I mean in the sense that now there are nurse practitioners and pharmacists doing what doctors used to do at one time, nurses doing what doctors used to do at one time. Now there's algorithm which allows the diagnosis to be made even far away. Given all that, that's the rationale of me asking you, would you recommend someone to be a GP in today's term when he may have skills which may be useful for, if he becomes a specialist? That's the rationale behind it.
Well, the thing is that a GP is a specialist in his own right. So it was when I started general practice, all the chronic condition, blood pressure, asthma, diabetes, heart failure, they were all treated. You know that as well as a health professional as well. Were all treated in hospital. Now all of these things are done in general practice.
So really, in a way, a GP has to specialize to serve. Well, a general practitioner, but then, right,
And plus, I think that there's a lot of flexibility as a general practitioner compared to hospital medicine.
The other thing, obviously, from the patient's point of view, bedside manner. many patients, if you ask, say, if I were to do a random sort of statistics, I would say that about 70–80% would say to me that, you know, the bedside manner now is not as it used to be.
Yeah.
That empathy, that listening of the patients, they don't have time nowadays. You know, they're even not looking at you. They're writing all the time. In fact, the prescription pad is already there. This is one of the things that is missing when we ask the patients. Do you think that's going to change, that bedside manner that we used to have?
It's unlikely. So, because when you see a patient, the patient is in front of you, he's come with a problem or two problems, then there is alert on the screen as well. Yeah, so the government wants you to do A, B, and C, and D. Yeah. So while the patient has come with their own agenda and problem, you have got your agenda as well, because you won't see the patient for the next 6 months. So you have to make sure that, you know, the diabetic control is there, the blood pressure is there, if they're asthmatic, the review has been done, if they've got COPD or asthma, emphysema, everything you want to cover that as well, because if you don't do that, you might not get a chance again. So they have got come with their agenda, you have got your agenda as well.
But Munir, this is not agenda. This is empathy and sympathy and listening and all that. Just a little bit of that would help. Would go a long way. Anyway, I understand what you're trying to say, and I hope the patients and the listeners will understand what you're trying to convey. I want to come to now community contributions. What made? I mean, I understand you. Obviously, your early life in Karachi, you were a volunteer, and you were already learning from them. So what made you? I mean, I know we understand how it all began, but now I want to come to your sort of holding a very high position, like you were a vice president of Hujjat Jamaat in 2013. So talk to us about, you know, Hujjat Jamaat is a very large Jamaat.
Yes.
What's your role as a vice president? Well, you know, in our sort of thing, it's like soba no gantio, means that you are just there for as a showcase.
Yes.
Most of the things is done by the president and others, particularly the secretary. But what's your role as in terms of Hujjat now?
Yeah, that's true, because even if you look at the constitution, not only of Hujjat, you can look constitution of Council of European Jamaat, constitution of Welfare. The vice president role is just to be, you know,
you're just waiting for him to pass away.
So when I was the vice president at the World Federation, so I used to say that, you know, you get the mic or the chair when the president goes for a comfort break, and Safdar being young, he never used to go for comfort break. So even, you know, that 5–10 minutes you get,
you make the most of it.
Yeah, but because Safdar is young, he never had to go for comfort break. On a serious note,
now I want to talk to you about the Hujjat first. We'll come to World Federation.
So on a serious note, so when I became the vice president, I was given two portfolio or a task by the then president Al-Hajj Mustafa Jafar. One was to look at the operations of Hujjat Centre, and the other one was to take the constitution that was rewritten by the previous team, with a group of team, to make sure that constitution is adopted.
So this was in 2013.
Yeah.
So your role was to make sure that the constitution is working in our time, in the effective way.
The constitution was already written by a team of
but it
experts.
needed changes, yeah?
No, the changes were already done, but it had not been presented to the general body for discussion and adoption.
That's unusual, isn't it?
No, because it's normal. You see, when you want to change the constitution, you have a CRT team, a constitution review team.
No, but a constitution that is changed has to be passed by the general
Yeah,
body.
that's right.
The general body understood what the constitution is.
So but before that happens, so that is the last stage, isn't it? The first stage is to have a constitution review team who will go through the old.
So what you're saying is that although the general body passed it.
No. The general body just passed that we need to have our constitution review done.
Ah, okay.
So that a constitution review team was made,
Right.
who went through the constitution,
Okay,
did whatever changes.
I understand, I
So
understand.
once that was ready,
So you were tasked to do the processing.
to make sure
Right.
that this document that has been prepared
Right.
now is presented to the community for discussion and
then
adoption.
approval. Yeah, okay. Okay, I understand.
So why I started engaged with the community member, with focus group, with volunteers, with seniors, ex-leaders, to see whether there's anything they would like to bring in before opening it to the general body, because that way the discussion is more focused. And then we had this constitutional meeting. It was a long process because there were so many meetings before it was finally.
So that was one project that you had. What was the other one?
The other one was the operation of the center.
Right.
So making sure that the day-to-day running of the center. So I oversee. So we have got a lot of bujus and a lot of volunteers. So I tried to bring an operational group together.
I mean, there is I don't know whether this is a fiction or there is some sense in the mind of many people. They think I mean, it might be a joke. I don't know. It might be some truth in it. But is the executive management committee controlling the bujus, or the bujus control the executive committee?
Well, it depends what bujus are you talking about. With the bujus,
Now, this is a perception.
But the bujus are an independent.
Is there a truth in it or not?
In their own right.
Now, is there a truth in this perception?
With the buju control the executive committee, they are not signatory. So in the sense,
in practice,
they are not signatory. So if they were totally controlling, they can't sign the check or stat. So the buck stopped with the executive committee. But
then the leadership have to be very strong.
Yeah. No, but the thing is that because the buju are independent themselves, whether they control the executive committee, because they are running according to their own bylaws or constitution, and they've got a set way of work. A new EC comes, if they want to bring changes, then they need to make sure they want to bring changes for the good or not.
No. What I'm trying to get at, Munir, is that even if the public wants to change, and the executive wants to change, and if the change needs to be done, if the bujus do not agree with the changes, that's the conflicts now begin. And this is where the perception then comes. That's why I asked her. But I think what you're trying to say is that it means sitting down and working through the challenges. I have to move forward because I've got other things to. So you then became a president in 2017.
That's right.
So, as a president, what was your vision, Munir?
So
I hope you don't mind me asking you all this.
Yeah. So the main thing was what happened was that I don't know whether you remember that when Mustafa Jafar's term ended.
Right.
Yeah. There was an election, which was according to the new constitution. Yeah. And the new constitution needs, at least for the president, 5 seconders.
All right.
And they all have to be members
of the Jamaat.
Of the Jamaat.
Yeah.
And anybody standing for any post have to be a member for at least 2 years. And the electoral commission, the election commission were made of 5 people.
Right.
With 1 head. And things sort of happened that there was some members where some sort of nominees did not sort of fulfill the criteria.
Right.
And something happened, so one team was disqualified.
Right. Okay.
The election commission, in fact, the 5 electoral commissioners, to them 4 resigned. 1 remained.
All right.
And then the 1 remained, he sort of resigned. So there was an election commission resigned, and what happened, according to constitution, that the election cannot take place.
Okay.
So the election did not take place. So there was, according to constitution, the incumbent president, so Mustafa Jafar, can stay up to 1 year.
Right.
And within a year, he has to call an election.
Right.
So
This is according all to the new constitution.
New constitution. So at the outset, Mustafa said that he is going to stay for 6 months and he's going to call for the election within 6 months.
Right.
So that by the election was then called in June.
Right.
So at that time, the youth who thought, they all have good intention.
Right.
That's what they will want to. They wanted to bring some changes. So at that time, Altaf Daya, Ahmad Bhai Daya's son, he made a group of youths who said, okay, we are willing to put our name forward
Right.
to come to as an EC executive committee and try to bring changes.
Right.
But with no experience,
Right.
they wouldn't be taken seriously. So they contacted me, Altaf contacted me, so I looked at the vision and the idea, and I think this is workable.
Right.
So I agreed to
So that became the vision.
the
then.
vision.
All right,
And if you look at the executive committee of 2017, there wasn't a single executive council member in that team who had ever been an EC member at Hujjat level.
Oh, okay.
All of them, apart from Marzia Bai, who was a chair lady. I don't know if she was an EC, but every other post. So you take the vice president, the secretary, the treasurer, assistant treasurer, assistant secretary. They were all there for the very first time.
Right.
They were young.
So it was a young executive.
Apart from the secretary, who was Musafi Somani. So he was not young, but has been a volunteer.
But he had a young mind.
Young mind, has been a volunteer in the committee for many years. But that was his first formal executive post at Hujjat as well. And from the outset, what we did, we divided different portfolios.
Right.
And different portfolio, so a group of people were doing different things, and then we said there is no interference. This is your portfolio, this is what you do, you go and deliver it. And it worked well. Like for example, if I was not part of the welfare team, so I said I don't want to get involved in knowing who's applying for welfare, because confidentiality is very important. So if I'm not going to make the decision, I don't even want to know who has applied, because for me knowing, even though I'm the president, me knowing that A has applied for some welfare is not going to add any value. So I said, I'm not part of the team, I don't want to know.
Right. So, I mean, I understand, Munir, thanks for explaining it. And now the question I want to ask you is that now reflecting back, do you think that this particular vision with a young committee and all that, did it pay off? Was it very effective? Or do you think that they had obstacles bringing their vision to fruition?
So it was effective in certain way, but there was some sort of thing that did not work out very well. And one of them was, if you remember, was the renewable energy and bring your own cup. If you remember, it started in our term. And the youth were very motivated that we need to do something very drastic to change people's set of mind. And while the not so young in the EC thought that it is too far a step, so asking people to pay for a pound if they are going to use the polystyrene, was too much. I said we can try to bring the change slowly, but to put notice everywhere that if you use the Hujjat cutlery, you need to pay a pound, and there was notice everywhere.
And so that didn't materialize.
It didn't materialize, and because my personal opinion is that it is difficult to impose that. The young people thought it otherwise, so there was this tussle at that time.
In that case, I mean, would you say that reflecting now, I mean, 2017, right? It's 225 now. we're 7 years older as a
Yeah.
community, hopefully mature.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
think?
not sure about maturity though.
That's another discussion, Munir. We might, if we have time, we might do it. But I'm just thinking aloud with you that do you think that our community, the vision that you had in 2017, and we are where we are now, in some respect, or in many respects, do you think that we have progressed well? Or do you think that we have remained almost there,
I think
where you were in 2017?
it's
Because I don't see the young people now sort of coming forward like they did as a group that we are willing to move this Jamaat forward. We are not seeing that. So I'm just thinking aloud.
But there's a reason why you're not seeing that either, yeah?
Right.
So I think we have not moved very much further because what happened when COVID came, right? COVID came.
Everything has that.
No, but whatever.
COVID
came. The center was closed for number of for almost a
that's
year.
another story as well.
Yeah. And then we had this storm.
Yeah, the storm. Yeah.
So the center remained closed for a longer period of time. People got used to choices of lectures and presentation sitting at home.
So that had an effect.
That had an effect. Right. The young people are moving in a different direction.
Right.
They want to make the community a viable sort of self-sustaining community. And if you look at it, one of the example is the youth that have done this at Herfield, Hujjat Herfield, the future. Yeah. So whilst you might just see the future as a co-working space, but within that you have got this.
As a general rule, as a general thing, I mean, have we got the direction right? That's what I'm trying to say. Have we got the direction right?
I think we are moving. If we are moving in the same direction, we have been moving. There's very slight changes.
Here and there.
We have, and it's the seniors' mindset has not changed much. And
do you think that is undermining the youth's enthusiasm?
That's number one. Number two, the youth.
So you agree, yeah?
Yeah. The other thing is the youth don't want to commit on long term. They would like to take a project, deliver it, and move to other project.
So they don't want to get involved with bureaucracy and the politics that surround sometimes with the bureaucracy.
Yeah. So if you look at the current EC, they have got some very dynamic young people. So they have been given a very specific portfolio to deliver on. And I think that is where we are moving towards.
Right.
But we as elder leaders need to understand that the younger generation, the youth they don't want to be bogged down to become an EC member or a president or the secretary.
So we may need to change the way we are functioning and structuring ourselves. Okay, yeah. It's not, I think that's, I've got a few other things to cover. I'm going to extend it a bit because I think that the discussion is interesting. I want to come to, you then became the vice president of the World Federation.
That's right.
So can we have a discussion on that, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So what happened was.
Let me just ask you something, and then
you can ask me how I became.
No, not yet, not yet.
I'm not saying why, how. The difference between how and why.
All right. Yeah. You want to carry on with that?
So I can say how I became.
Okay. Right. Okay. And then I'll ask you.
So what it is that World Federation was going through some difficult, challenging time, right?
Right. Yes.
And the office bearers of the term before 2017, isn't it? They resigned en masse.
How did you feel about that?
So,
resigning en masse?
Yeah.
Or you don't want to comment on that?
No, but I wasn't part of the OB.
No, but you must have a view. To resign en masse.
En masse.
I mean, it's.
Yeah. So you see that the person who's wearing the shoe knows where it pinches. Yeah. So you can only feel the heat if you're in the kitchen. So I'm not sure what pressure they were getting from regions, other leaders. Yeah, so
The principle of it is what I'm saying. You know, to resign en masse on a community level. I'm just thinking aloud.
So they resigned en masse. I'm not sure whether, but if you remember that the election had already taken place, so there was president-elect. So when they resigned en masse, there was already president-elect. And again we have to come to COVID, right? Because the triennial conference was supposed to be in Mombasa in March of 2017, if I'm not mistaken, March of 2017. And it was March, because the half term, the February half term, that is when people started coming back from Italy from their skiing holidays, and they brought COVID here. Yeah. So
right now we had an issue of COVID. Now I mean we understand that.
So the Supreme Council, the triennial conference, was postponed. Otherwise, the president-elect would have taken the post from that time, and the new team will come. So that was postponed. The Charity Commission gave them a year to hold the election, and then the expo happened in June and July.
And you became
where they sort of resigned en masse, and a new election had to take place of the other 5, sort of 3 office bearers, because the secretary and assistant secretary are nominated.
So how did your name came about?
So I'm part of the team, right? In the sense that I've been part of World Federation. I was president of Hujjat.
No, I'm interested in as a VP. Yeah. How, I mean, is there a group of people who say, oh, after Munir Lele, after Tim Mine, is that how it sort of came about, do you think?
I would, look, I might be seen as somebody who didn't have baggage. Because, you know, in community, when it comes to election time, there's people are seen with baggage, this guy is from this group.
So you were a safe pair of hands.
Yeah, so I thought that, you know, I'm there to stabilize the ship. I was, because at that time I was still was a president of Hujjat.
Right.
When I
so when you went into as a vice president of the World Federation, your understanding was that you're going to help stabilize the ship, right? And what happened? I mean, so, as a vice president, what was your role then?
So I thought, you know, things were working okay in the sense of the first year things were working well. And something happened. There was a court case, right?
Yeah. I mean, how did you feel about that? That the community now being part of the court case now. How was your feeling? I mean, I'm not asking your feeling now, not your judgment yet, but feeling. How did you feel?
I think it divided the community.
But this wasn't the first time the community is going through all that.
Yeah.
In the past, in our history,
we have gone to court in the past as well.
Right, but it's not a very suitable thing.
This was at a very high level.
Yeah.
So
and the supreme body of the COEJ.
So and there were a lot of challenges and negotiation, one thing after another. And there were some people who wanted this to continue. More people wanted things to settle down. 1 or 2 people thought, let's get this team change. And I personally think it's probably, there might be some personality issue. Some people, don't like 1 person, 2 person. And
I think that played a role much more so. Okay. So consensus building did not sort of occur to the extent that it should have occurred and resolved this thing within the House. And the matter then went outside for resolving, A
lot of attempts were done, almost dealt with it, and then things changed.
And this is where you feel the egos and the personalities and all that played perhaps a role?
Personality and maybe, wrong advice to some people.
How was your relationship with, if you don't mind me asking you, how was your relationship with the president, Safdar?
With Safdar?
Yeah.
I've known Safdar for many, many years because we were Hajj buddies, right?
Yeah. So but how was your relationship as a president, vice president?
Perfect, because in the sense, we have got different opinions, and we always, I was very vocal in giving my opinion, and in fact, and I have never shied away from saying that during the election, I supported Dr. Jiva, who was the candidate for the.
Right.
Yes, I supported Dr. Jiva, and I told Safdao as well. He knew that I supported Dr. Jiva because Dr. Jiva and I go many years. We HI Health Improvement Board, Medical Advisory Board. We part of the same Hajj team as well. But that was for election. Once the president is elected.
So you had, as I understand it now, that you had a candid exchange when it was necessary.
Yes,
All
because
right,
that's what happens in
Right.
any meeting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just unusual that a vice president then becomes a president eventually, and you then, I don't think you put yourself forward for vice presidency.
No, I didn't, because I'm more of a operational type of person.
Right. Okay.
I think the president is more of strategic
Right.
thing. So even when I was the president of Hujjat, I was more into operation, and I left the young people to move in a direction. I'm not sort of somebody who likes to strategically talk and think. I'm a doer. I like to my hands-on, because I've been a volunteer, right?
No, that's I think I understand that. I understand. Now I want to just move forward a bit because it's so interesting for observers that there was the Secretary General at the World Federation and there's a Vice President at the World Federation, and then subsequently the Secretary General became the President of the COEJ, and you became the Vice President. Now, obviously, it's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's just that we saw the transformation from there occurring at COEJ, and hopefully that transformation would be for good. What I want to ask you is, what's your take on the way our hierarchy is? Now, let me explain what I mean by hierarchy. We have a Jamaat, and then we have a regional federation, and then a world federation. This is a geographical construct, isn't it? You are in Africa, so you go through Africa Federation. You are in Europe, you go through, and then in India, Pakistan, and all that. That's one way of working. But in 21st century, in our century, when Lindy can communicate with London quite easily and can come as a delegation for advice or whatever, in this sort of situation of a 21st century where it's easier to communicate and function, do you think the geographical way of working or hierarchy is redundant? Or rather less effective?
It's a bit sort of,
I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the
because
spot.
I've got my opinion, right?
Well, it's good. Put your opinion across. That would be good.
Because if the region knows their Jamaat well, so the question is that you mentioned Lindy, so if Lindy was coming straight to World Federation, is
no, directly to London. I'm saying they don't even have to come to region or world. They can communicate directly. It doesn't mean that we make World Federation redundant or regional federation redundant. It means that you have to now do some lateral thinking to understand what the role of the World Federation is and what the role of the regional federation, given the fact that communication is so easy. If you allow the communication to occur via regional and via Jamaat, and then as an ordinary person, I have to go to Jamaat, and the Jamaat goes to region goes to world. It just cuts out. There is a distance between the grassroots and the World Federation. Grassroots. Isn't there another way of working?
So interestingly, nobody complains or raises an eyebrow if a Jamaat communicates with a Jamaat. The issue only comes when a Jamaat communicates with the other regional federation. So let's say if you're talking about Lindy, so if Lindy was going to communicate with Hujjat, it's not seen as a problem.
Why is that?
It's not a problem unless Lindy wants to come and raise funds officially. Then there's protocols because but otherwise communication, working together, no problem. But if Lindy was to go straight to COEJ and COEJ entertains Lindy directly, then that can become a concern for Africa Federation. Likewise, if sort of maybe the other way around.
So are we bound by something like that?
I'm not sure whether it's in the constitution or not, but there is.
But are we bound? That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
Munir. We are a small community. If we start to have walls like this, and then even within the Jamaat there are walls as well. And then and sometimes when we communicate to the leaders don't even answer. I mean, a lot of complaints are like that the leaders don't even bother to answer. And you know, as a small community, how are we going to then function very effectively?
So
where would then be confidence?
Tell you my experience, So when I was part of Medical Advisory Board and Health Board, I used to communicate directly with the with the Central Health Board, which is the health board of Africa, and the board and the Dar-es-Salaam Jamaat, which is different. But then I had the blessing of Honorable Bhai Khalfan at that time. The only thing was that need to keep Africa Federation in the loop so they are aware what the communication is going about. And it works. As long as you have an understanding, you are going to communicate with the Jamaat or something, the region has to be aware of what is happening in the background. So it works well. The other thing is about replying or responding to every individual. That can become
no. But at least acknowledgement and saying no, Munir, hear me out. Acknowledgement, even acknowledgement is not done. And then if it's not done, people have a very poor aspect of that leadership. But the good evolution that was destroyed, in my opinion, was that at World Federation level we had created boards, and the board were supposed to evolve, where all the input from all the regions were supposed to be there. But in 2005, even that was dissolved, and then we found ourselves working through assistant secretary, and then the regional should have taken the board's work, and the region says the Jamaat should have taken the board's that work, and so it's just like a vicious cycle. Nobody knows who is supposed to do who. But we had this regional World Federation boards, MAB, Islamic Education Board. These were good functioning boards, and it needed tweaking and evolving. But suddenly it got destroyed. And so, we suddenly find ourselves that that we now have to find another way of working.
So can I come back to what you said initially? That the perception is that the Buju is more powerful than the executive committee, and the perception of that time was that the board was more powerful.
No, and the World Federation was something different. We had executive council. It wasn't the office bearers who were making the decision. It was the executive council consisted of all the councillors who were actually allowing the secretariat and the board to function, and they had to prepare their report, and the reporting was done at the executive council. I mean, anyway, I think but the question still remains. We should have an effective way of working with the Jamaats and the regional federation.
I agree.
And I think.
But I want to touch a point on you have been a Secretary General at the World Federation,
I'm asking the question.
I know. But I want to answer that question separately, because you follow a World Federation meeting.
Do I?
Executive councillors of the World Federation, and I'm no pun intended. They come for the meeting, they will read the document they were sent a day before or on the day. So they are the decision-making body, should be telling the office bearers that this is what needs to be done. But between the two executive council meetings, they are just there. Means nothing is happening. They just come and read and they listen to what the OBs are saying. This is
there's another issue. Munir, there is an issue there. I mean, we have to be open and candid about it. So it's not only in that area. We have to look at everything, including the structure itself, whether it's serving the community or not. Because if it's not serving, then we have to be candid about the whole thing. Anyway, I'm coming to the end now, and I'm going to ask you
a difficult question, is it?
No, it's not difficult. Just as a, very impressive CV, Munir. You have contributed, just like I was interviewing Maqbool Bhai, and Maqbool Bhai's CV is very impressive. His contribution, excellent, and in yours as well, excellent. What advice would you give to, given your experience, given the challenges that are? What advice would you give to Jamaat leadership, regional federation leadership, world federation leadership, if you have any to give? As a last, you can sort of.
I don't know what advice can I give.
No, you can. I mean, everyone says that, but I'm sure you can. You have.
I just feel that that we as a leader need to be a bit more inclusive. Yeah. Allow sort of people or youth to come in the area that they want to come in. At the moment, we say youth, but youth are not coming in because the ground is not fertile for them. We need to understand what they want. It's what we want. And we think that this is what we want, and the youth should come and do what we want. We need to slightly change and find out what do they think they can contribute, and then allow them to work. And if I give you an example, if you look in London, we've got a lot of youth bodies or organization.
In London?
In London. I can name them or not name them. But our community members, they go and work with them, help them, because they find it fulfilling.
Okay.
Yeah? So going and packing bags and then distributing to the homeless is fulfilling. Yeah. Going on every Saturday in a van in central London and distributing food is fulfilling. Yeah. Going and doing the kitchen soup or kitchen food in NW10 is fulfilling, because you're giving your time and you are enjoying what you are doing, because this is something that you're seeing the benefit. When it comes to organization, you need to then have something that will focus toward that. As I said initially, it has to be a project-led, project-led program or something.
Initiative, okay.
Where they know that they are there for 6 months. Their role is to do A, B, and C, and provide it, and they move to a next project.
This is the type of thing that the youth would want.
They don't want to commit themselves to a 3-year term.
So this is something that leadership at every level has to,
So if
attractive youth track.
If you look at the current World Federation Executive Council, so kudos to Safdar Bhai. He has brought in some youths who have been given specific tasks to work on. But at the World Federation level, they're all strategic document or tasks that they will have to deliver. But is the World Federation a delivering body or a strategic body? So even if these young people who will come with a very explicit, extensive, perfect document that this is the task I was given by the president, this is the document, we need to work on it. Who will work on it? Is it because...
That's right. It's a very important point you're making.
The delivery is going to happen at the Jamaat level, at the regional level. And that's where the Executive Council comes in. They have to challenge the document. Once they agree with the document, then it's the Executive Council who takes to their Jamaat and say, no, we have agreed on to this. Let's work on this.
And if the World Federation body doesn't have the capacity to deliver, and that capacity has to be at that level as well, then obviously it then falls upon the regional body and the Jamaats. Now regional body have their own things to do. The Jamaats have their own things to do, and they may not consider that as a priority. That's where the issues
But then the Jamaat leaders and the regional leader are executive councillors, so they should then
But in practice,
or allow World Federation to do the task.
absolutely. So in practice, it doesn't work like that. In practice, the World Federation must have the implementation arm within itself to deliver at the regional and World and Jamaat level. Otherwise, you know, what the problem would be is that this young man who comes in all enthusiastically, delivers the paper, and then sees that nothing happens, and then his enthusiasm dies away.
And that is where we come round circle, whether and you said, you know, we are in a different environment, whether the region and the Jamaat will allow the World Federation to work. It's not a problem of getting volunteers. The volunteers will be from the same region. It is just, it will be sort of conducted and operated or overseen by a different organization.
Right. Now, Munir, we need to have a thinking cap now, obviously, and it's a big discussion. But Munir, I have to thank you.
Thank you.
You were very candid, and you didn't shy away from what you needed to say. And for that, I think even our audiences would be very, very thankful to you. And they would have a reflection as well to do. Thank you for sharing your life journey as well, Munir, and all your parents and your siblings are in the same field. So, and your wife, I have to say, Zinnatubai, helping you. And may it continue, Munir. And one day you might take up the position of the presidency of the World Federation.
I don't know.
Or start with the COEJ. But anyway, thank you. Thank you very much indeed.
Take care.
Thanks very much. Thank you.